And we are joined on set with our news director, Jules Vasquez, to discuss what Howell Grange didn't quite feel comfortable yet in sharing. Jules, we understand that when you spoke to him off camera, he gave you a full background of really what happened last Thursday in the skies.
Indeed, he did, Indira. As I said, he's not prepared to go through it on camera yet. And you heard him say that in the interview as well.
Right.
He just wanted really to say thanks to everybody. He's in a space of great gratitude. But what he explained to me of what happened on that flight is simply amazing. The plane takes off. The seating arrangement is as follows.
Right.
Grange is in the pilot seat. A child, who is the child of an employee, is in the co-pilot seat. Sitting behind Grange is Fitzgerald Brown, Akinyela Taylor,
Right, Taylor.
and Jair Castaneda. So they have two seats behind him and the third. Shortly after the takeover, they're flying over Ceros. Taylor stabs Brown. He stabs Brown to signal that the hijacking is on the way, and it's serious. It's not just words. He's ready to kill people. So he stabs Brown for this purpose, as an illustration of his seriousness. Castaneda sees this and tries to intervene. He thinks it's just a personal fight. He also gets stabbed. Taylor then takes control, sends the child to the back, sends all the men bleeding to the back, and tells the pilot. The initial reports were that he told the pilot he wanted to go to Texas. But he told the pilot, according to Grange, that he wanted to go somewhere in Mississippi. So he hasn't attacked Grange yet.
Okay.
That's critical. Grange is good. Physically is good. He hasn't been attacked. Grange realizes he's dealing with a man who is not in his right sense. But he's very forceful. He's cursing, he's insulting. And he's making it clear that he means business, and you are going to fly this plane to the US. He's not someone that can be negotiated with.
Okay.
So now, this is the crazy part. This is the unbelievable part, but it happened. Grange tells him, okay, we're going to the US.
Okay.
You don't argue with someone in that state. And he convinces him, using incredible wit and shrewdness, he convinces him that, yes, we are going to the United States. We're heading there now. We're on our way. He's aware that he only has enough fuel to fly around for a limited time. And so he starts circling Belize, but in a way that will make it seem like they're going more or less over the sea. But he's just circling Belize, constantly circling, so that he can stay near to the airport, so that he can stay near to somewhere they can land. He is aware that it may end in death. He says, I try to stay close to the coast so that if we crash, land in the sea, the relatives of those on board can find their loved ones, can have closure. This,
thinking all of that in that moment.
yes, he's aware that he's responsible to his family. He has a daughter. He has a father, a mother, all these people, obviously siblings. But he's thinking of those 15 souls, right? The plane has 16 people on it. And he's thinking of these 15 souls, that it's his duty to deliver them safely. This is a man clearly focused on his duty to his own family, but also to the families of all those people.
So before you continue, Jules, did he give any indication as to what kicked in that moment, his state of mind, what happened in that moment while he was going through it? If
he attributes it strictly to God.
Okay.
He used incredible wit and strategy to outwit a man with a death wish for them, to outwit Akinyela Taylor and to convince him that we're going north. You know what he did? He then told in Spanish the air traffic control tower, put on somebody who's speaking Spanish in the tower so that I can convince him I'm flying through Mexico. Now the people in the back of the plane, as you will hear shortly, they couldn't hear all this. The drone of the plane is quite loud, and they're in the back. They're all sitting in the back. And so...
Where is Taylor at this point?
Taylor is right up on him, beside him.
Okay.
As they're flying on, he said Taylor started to show signs of breaking, signs that he said he couldn't stop sweating.
Right.
And he started to like throw up, and he's drinking water because, you know, he's being gripped by the fear, by the enormity of what he's doing. Yeah. He's hijacking a plane. Yeah. But they're heading north to the United States as far as he knows. When Grange knows they're running out of fuel, he tells Taylor, okay, we're entering U.S. airspace now. He tells the air traffic control in Belize, because they're right in Belize, put somebody who sounds American, tells them this in Spanish, put somebody who sounds American on the phone, on the receiver. And he is doing a number of things to try and cloak this maneuver.
At
right?
This time,
because he's getting phone calls.
At this time,
he's
the tower
is
aware, though, that this is a hijacking situation.
The tower is aware, yes.
Fully, okay.
And Akinyele Taylor told him an interesting thing. He said, enter so-and-so code, 7700, in the transponder to indicate this is a hijack. Showing some knowledge, but the code was wrong.
Okay.
That 7700, as Grant showed me, points to something else. It's 7500 is for a hijack, but I'm just saying he had specific knowledge, right? He had somehow researched this on some level. So now he tells them, put someone else on the receiver that sounds American, and they brought a female on who sounded American. This is right in Belize. So now it's starting to get chippy, and he tells him, I have to land, because he knows he's running out of gas. He's near to Ladyville Airport now. He said if he had to circle again, he wouldn't have made it. He would have crashed somewhere in the bush or in the sea. So now he tells Taylor, I'm going to land. And they start to argue. Okay. And he tells Taylor, I'm taking off the autopilot. You land it if you don't want me to land. Taylor does not know they're landing in Belize yet. But at this time, he knows that he's already set. He's already lined up for the landing. Because he knows that things will unravel once he realizes. They landed. And he believes that as Taylor saw the access way to the BDF camp, airport camp, he recognized something Belizean, maybe he saw a flag. And that's when Taylor attacked him. Taylor said, and I asked Mr. Grange this twice, Taylor said, it's a good day to die.
Wow. Okay.
And he attacked him. Now, at this time, at the back of the plane, Jair Castaneda has already told the other passenger, he's bleeding profusely, told the other passengers, this is how you open the emergency door.
Okay.
As we hit the ground, you open that door.
So they're organizing in the back.
They're organizing, yes, quietly, but organizing. Now, this is one of the most important things that Pilot Grange did. As he landed, he killed the engines.
Okay, why is that important?
So that Taylor could not take control of the aircraft and start to power up and fly again or crash into something. You have jets on the apron with passengers.
Yes.
He could have weaponized that aircraft.
Of course.
So as he hit the ground, shut off the engine. And now it's time. It's a good day to die. That's what Taylor told him. And Taylor begins to stab. And he's fighting. He believes Taylor tried to stab him in the jugular. He stabbed him in the face because he's fighting. He tried to get his artery here. He's stabbing away, stabbed him 10 times. At this point, between stabs, is when Mr. Brown, who he did not know, the pilot did not know Mr. Brown has a gun.
Right, of course.
Takes out the gun and shoots Taylor. Taylor continues to stab, goes for another stab, has to shoot him again. And that's when he expires. Grange said the most important thing that he can't forget is the look on the child's face.
I was just going to ask about the child.
Because the child was one of the last to get off the plane along with Brown.
And up front.
Yeah, but he was moved from up front.
Right, but in the beginning of it,
in the beginning, he was up front,
course.
And of course, throughout the thing, it's 2 hours of sustained tension.
Peril.
But I want to underscore, I want to mention one more thing that Taylor told him to enter, this airport in the U.S. in the GPS. He wants to see it. He did it, but he flipped the page on the GPS so that Taylor would not see they're flying around and around Belize. And we have the map of them flying around and around Belize. The gamble, the wise gamble that he did by psyching out, so to speak, by gaining the psychological advantage in the air with a deranged man. That was his only option, because all of us are thinking all this while, what did they do up in the air for all that time? Obviously, if it's a struggle, he would have killed everybody.
A long time.
At some point, he had to be calm, and that's how he calmed him down. No, we're going to States. Let's go. We're up on our way. We're well on our way. We're talking to Mexico Air Control. We're coming in. It's all a farce.
Did he indicate at some level with your conversation with him today, Jules, of what in his previous training helped him in terms of coming up with all of this in that moment?
That's what I asked him.
Because
I told him, if you were a trained combat pilot, you could not have done something so uncanny. And he said he attributes it. Remember his patron saint, as you heard in stories, St. Jude, the patron saint of lost causes and impossible situations. The impossible situations, that is the wisdom that he mustered. That's what he attributes it to.
Fair enough.
And what he pulled off in the air, if someone had told you, if you read that in a work of fiction or saw it in a movie, you would say preposterous. But this is how believable he made it, because remember, he and Taylor are locked in. There's nobody else with them. They're locked in. And he's keeping it real. We're going to the U.S. It took an incredible amount of daring, of wisdom, of wit, of skill, of competence, of presence of mind. Shut off the engine as you hit the ground. You know, it's really one of the most incredible stories. It was already incredible when we heard of the hijacking and that everyone survived. I will repeat what I said earlier in the week. There were 10,000 ways for this to go wrong.
For sure.
With this pilot's wisdom and his ability to create a believable fiction for a deranged man.
And to assimilate in that moment, just to...
Yes. I mean, you're under life and death pressure. You're seeing your own death, the death of all your passengers, the death of maybe people in the community if you crash into a population center. He found one way to survive and for everybody to survive. And he was almost killed in the process. You know, I mean, it's a big man stabbing you 10 times, and he believes that, you know, the man had knowledge of what he was doing. It wasn't just stabbing him while he was stabbing him to kill him.
With intentions. Jules, did you ask Howell what his feelings were in the moment when it was all finished?
You know, he was rushed straight to the hospital.
Okay.
He was as pale as a sheet. Okay. When he reached the hospital, he had lost so much blood. I think he got 8 or 10 units of blood. He had lost so much blood. But he was still having the presence of mind to tell the medical team who to call and giving them the numbers. Call 630 so and so. I'm saying it's just a guy with a very good presence of mind. He's not militarily trained. He's not, but he's just somebody who has presence of mind. And shortly you'll hear an interview from one of the passengers an American Belizean woman who said that, when Jair Castaneda, Francesco, went to the back of the plane, he told her, this is the best pilot for this situation, and we're going to be safe.
That's a statement to give.
And he
to
was.
Console and to comfort and to calm people. That's a very interesting,
put
powerful
1,000
statement.
people in that situation and it will end.
Yeah.
Because your natural thing is to tell the man the truth. Because if you don't tell him the truth, you risk being killed. The truth is we're going to run out of fuel. We can't get to the United States. To fly in one of those planes to the U.S. probably takes about 4 or 6 hours. That's 800 miles, right? Or whatever, 700 and plus miles.
So, Jules, before we wrap, though, can I ask today, I know that you spoke to Grange today, but have there been any debriefing with him, as you know, as to how, in terms of just what are some of the protocols that maybe he feels are going to be important moving forward? Have there been any debriefing at all where he's involved, or it's just healing at this point? Okay.
I didn't have that sense. I don't want to be unkind, but we're not a serious country. We have a Minister of Civil Aviation who I don't believe is serious about civil aviation safety. The Prime Minister just waltzed back into the country today. I don't want to get overtly political, but I'm just saying that we have not had a coherent response from the Civil Aviation Department, from the Minister of Civil Aviation. I'm saying there is no harmonization of multiple agencies that need to issue red flags or no-fly lists. This is obviously urgent. So
it's also a precedent,
so if you check, but if you are screening people going on the flights, that's good and well, but that is just a Band-Aid on a gaping vulnerability, a gaping wound. That needs to be addressed holistically, and I'm asking again, kindly, for leadership from the Minister of Civil Aviation and the Minister of Immigration, who is the same person, Prime Minister Briceño, to say, okay, where were the failings? We have to be honest.
We have to be able to look at it critically and figure out how to be able to mitigate situations like this. I think Howell Grange is a perfect person to be able to help us see our blind spots in how to be able to, fix an aviation security system.
I did not have the impression that he had been debriefed by an authority from National Security Council. I'm sure they plan to get around to it, but I'm saying it's urgent that we have a truthful assessment and a sober assessment of what all went wrong so that we can fix it, because the world is watching. And there are other criminal actors, dangerous actors who see these things and say, oh, really? Is it that simple?
Not only that, we have a debt, and the person is, an American. We have a debt that we have to account for regardless. So you're right when you say that the international community is watching. And so it's important for us to really step it up in how we do present ourselves, all of it.
Indeed. So we're waiting for a coherent response, and I hope nicely that it will be forthcoming.
Thank you, Jules. Thank you for being here. We do have one personal account of what happened on that plane tonight. It's a telephone interview with Kim Maxwell. She's been living in San Pedro for 18 years, and she was flying back home after a trip to Mexico. She told Jules that she didn't think they would survive. Here's her story.
I'm mostly grateful